When constructing a scene, such as, for example, an interior architecture scene like the one we're going to build here, it's super useful to containerize selections into groups. In other words, create a functional unit which will allow you to select multiple objects with a single click. And in 3ds Max, that's known as a group. The stairs are a perfect example of that. I don't want to ever really select an individual stair when I'm trying to build my loft. I just want to select the staircase as a unit and move it or do whatever to it. Let's create a group. I want to select all the objects and then go up to the Group menu and choose Group to create the group of the selected objects. And give it a name. I strongly recommend that you leave the word group in the name of the group, because if I called this staircase with nothing else on it, that would not be a clear indicator that what I was dealing with was not an object, but rather a group of objects. So it's kind of a rule. You need to leave the word group in there. Otherwise, you're going to get confused. You won't know whether something's a group or not. Do that. And then if it's selected and you go over to the command panel, you'll notice that the name is displayed as always. But a group is a little bit different. Its name is going to be in bold. And if we selected a single object, it would not be displayed in bold. Once those have been grouped, then if you click on any member of the group, then you're going to select all of them. So it's kind of a little bit unorthodox the way it's implemented here in 3ds Max. A group is a container that includes objects. When you select any member of the object, you select that object, all of the other group members, and the group container itself. All right, let's take a look at this in the Scene Explorer because that'll help us understand it better. Open up the Scene Explorer if it's not already open, and we will see Staircase Group is listed there. And there's a little arrow. And when we click on that right-facing arrow, we can open up the group. This is a hierarchy or a structure of enclosed objects. Okay, so if I click on any one of the objects here, then everything gets highlighted here. The object I selected is selected. All the other group members are selected, and the group itself is selected. I can go in here and do the same in this Scene Explorer. So if I click off to select nothing, go over to Scene Explorer and select any one of these, it gets selected, but notice that none of these other objects or nodes got explicitly selected. Okay, that's a difference between the Scene Explorer and the viewport. Again, if I select in the viewport, boom, all the members and the container are selected. But if I do it in here in the Scene Explorer, I can select one thing at a time. But for the purposes of transformations and other operations, the group is what's actually selected here in the views. This is a little bit strange. As I mentioned, it's a little bit unorthodox. If we wanted to select the group proper, then we would select it up here. And that would select the group, but ironically, it would not select all the members of the group. Functionally, it works the same because I can still transform everything. It's just that these are not explicitly selected here. All right, I'll undo that movement I just did with Control-Z. If you need to get into the individual parts of a group, then you can destroy the group or you can just temporarily open it. With it selected back in the Group menu, we can ungroup, which would destroy the group, or we could just open it. So click on Open. And now what you'll see is a pink bounding box around all the objects. And that is the group node itself, or the group container. We can now click on individual parts. Let's just do this with the Select Object tool. We can select individual objects or multiple objects separately from the group. If we click on the pink bounding box, then we select the group itself. And if we open up the Scene Explorer, we will see that in this particular condition, in an open group, it's not explicitly selecting all the members. So we can close that group back up again, go to the Group menu and choose Close. And now we're back to where we were before. If we choose any member of the group, then we're selecting everything, including the group container itself. There are other commands up here you can explore. For example, you can attach objects and so on. If I wanted to attach another object to this group, let's just demo that really quickly. Let's say I had another box here. the way I would attach that to the group is to select the object, then go to Group, Attach, and then click on the group that I want to attach it to. And now it's a member of that group. All right, Control Z to undo that. If we want to remove it from the group, that's a little bit harder. We go up here, what we have to do is actually open it, then select it, and then detach. And now it's no longer in that group. Okay, and when we're done, we just want to close that group up again. And we're back in business. So that's how groups work in 3ds Max. Again, it's a little bit strange and unusual compared to some other 3D programs, but it's very helpful. You should always group objects like this together into containers or collections, because once you merge this into a scene with other objects, it's going to be very unmanageable if you have tens of objects that need to be moved and positioned all at once. So anytime you build an object like a staircase or a piece of furniture or whatever, the last thing you should do is always group it together so that when you import it or merge it into another scene, it's manageable. All right, that wraps up our chapter on manipulating objects.